Alrighty then, welcome back to the channel, lads and ladies, and I've distracted Tank Baby by turning on the bathtub to a trickle so she can play in the water. So, I've been looking forward to an opportunity to make another Pathfinder video, and I have found my inspiration. So, there's another addition coming to the Toshio Thunder family, and that is a baby girl that, well, I just call her Butterfly for now. So I've made a character for her, and I've probably told you about how much I love sorcerers, and I believe I've mentioned how intriguing the, what is it, Abyssal bloodline is, on the count of, if you look at her strength, let's just take off some gear so that we can show a proper strength value here, and also the charisma. Why are you still boosted? I guess that's just on account of her infernal bloodline. I suppose that shows up as a boost. Okay, so her base strength now is a 24, and she didn't start with a 20 strength. She started with a 16, I believe, and her charisma is a natural 18. And that one as well, we started off with a 16 and we boosted it because I wanted to give her some con, and I ended up having a few points left over to keep dexterity and intelligence positive. This is not an armor class build. It's almost as though I've built this character for melee combat. And that is entirely the case. So let's go ahead and put on our gear again. And you can see that we don't have a full set of equipment yet. This is sort of this is a new character. I haven't really made room for her in the party, but oh my goodness, even at a subpar equipment level, this character build is insane. So when it comes to a sorcerer, there's two things that are really important, and that's your bloodline and the spells you select. So I've told you we're the Abyssal bloodline. That gives us a bonus to conjured creatures, so any summoned creatures will receive 1/2 of our caster level as damage reduction / good. So good aligned weapons will deal normal damage, but everything else that doesn't have a special good enchantment on it, which would be fairly rare, especially in the creatures we face, will have its damage reduced by, at level 15, 7 damage. So that is incredible for making even lower level summons like Animate Dead tanky. But if we look at her spell book, Animate Dead is like a level 3 spell, and just to keep things brief, you can see the level 1 spells, you can pause there. Level 2, Sense Vitals is essential, as is Mirror Image. So I'll talk about that briefly. Sense Vitals is as the spell description. It gives you sneak attack damage as at a 1/3 rate. So for every 3 caster levels, you get a d6 of sneak attack damage added to your damage. And you may be aware that sneak attack is incredible. I made a video on that earlier. And I've talked about Sense Vitals before, but this is essential for this build of Butterfly. And Mirror Image. This produces illusory copies, a d4 plus 1 per 3 levels, max of 8 images total. So let's see, 1 per 3, it's going to get a +5, so a d4 plus 5, it's already going to have the opportunity to create all 8 illusory images. And as far as I know, it doesn't say exactly what chance the enemy attack has to target one of the copies. But my guess is either it's a 50% chance, or it's 1 over the number of copies. So, you know, if you have 8 copies, they have a 1 in 8 chance, or actually a 1 in 9 chance to hit you, and an 8 out of 9 chance to hit the copy. That's pretty awesome. That's the equivalent of having an armor class that's 16 or 17 points higher than their attack bonus, and it's disregarding, it's apart from your armor class. So Mirror Image And of course, every time a copy gets hit, it disappears, which lowers its efficiency. But for tanking a few hits, Mirror Image can be incredible. It's far more effective than Armor Class in general, and for a limited time. But again, level 2 spell, you should have plenty of those lined up, and I could use Blindness or Glitter Dust to deal with enemies on a different level. Moving on. Displacement is another huge part of this build, and it should be a huge part of any caster build that has a chance to be in combat. So it should be a part of any caster build. Displacement or improved invisibility, and what this does is it gives the enemy a base 50% miss chance. That's extremely useful. You can see these spells here, how they would work in for someone who goes into melee combat, and we'll move on. Greater invisibility, we talked about that. The improvement of this over displacement is it also gives you invisibility. So the enemy's not even aware of you until you make yourself known, and then he's in a best guess situation. Even if he does attack you, he has a 50% miss chance, and your attacks get a bonus against him because he's fighting blind. So that is, it's defensively useful and also offensively useful. And that's something that's not really mentioned in the description of the spell, but if you look at the description of the feat Blind Fight, you see that you would normally get an advantage over someone if you're invisible, unless they have the Blind Fight feat, which is a rare feat for an enemy to have. Obsidian Flow is useful, and it starts getting into more of the specifics of our combat. We can turn ourselves into a dragon, giving ourselves resistance to Obsidian Flow's effect and damage, and it's still just as powerful against enemy creatures. As you can see, it's quite good. So moving on, False Life, that's just extra hit points. Animate Dead, we've talked about that. It's a great meat shield effect at level 4. And then we have Vampiric Shadow Shield, which can give us some hit point recovery, especially with our damage reduction we get from Angelic Aspect and Stone Skin, which I believe they actually do stack because they're different kinds of damage reduction. That's at 5, and Stone Skin is at 10, up to 10 times your level. So that's a lot of damage reduction, with Vampiric Shadow Shield recovering a quarter of the damage that it deals, which is a d6 plus 15 at this level. That's not bad at all. It's difficult for us to take serious amounts of damage, even if we do get hit. This is an incredibly tanky build just by virtue of the spells I've selected. And of course, you're only going to have that tanking ability if you activate all those spells. You don't want to spend 5 or 6 rounds in combat stacking buffs while the rest of your party's fighting, so there is a balancing factor to that. But at level 15, even spells that last 1 round per level end up having a duration of over a minute, so you can cast those buffs on yourself before you get into combat, wade in, and beat an absolute juggernaut for a few rounds. Dragonkind 1, as I mentioned, we can turn ourselves into a dragon. This is the medium variant of the Dragonkind spell, so it's useful to a certain extent. You see, we get some natural weapons. And something about natural weapons is that you attack with each one of your natural weapons for each one of your attacks. So if you perform a full attack action, if you're standing in front of somebody's face and attacking for the whole round, as a base, a sorcerer at level 15 has 2 attacks. Boom, boom. But if you have, let's see, a bite, 2 claws, and 2 wing attacks, you now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 attacks. If you're hasted, you have 15 attacks. If you've cast Transformation and you're hasted, you have 20 attacks in a round. It gets ridiculous. And did I mention that Sense Vitals gives us sneak attack? The damage output in melee of this character class is ridiculous. But what about enemies who are able to dodge? Well, there's this thing called Tar Pool that can really help. It's like Obsidian Flow, only it lasts longer and it deals continual fire damage. Also, Greater Heroism that we can cast on anyone in our party gives us a serious bonus to attack and other things. Summon Monster 7, things start getting real at this point. We do have the improved summoning ability to get extra monsters and to have them have stronger stats. So we can get a d4 plus 2, because it's normally plus 1, but we get an extra one. A d4 plus 2 Bralani Azatas, which are quite useful with their spamming of Lightning Bolt, an improved Dragonkind spell, and Firebrand just because. It's kind of cool, adds a d6 fire damage to your allies' attacks and makes your own fire spells not harm them. So all in all, you can see that this character is theoretically ridiculously powerful. But let's just do some buffing, let's find some trouble, and show you exactly what this character can do. Or at least give you a taste of it, because it's going to be hard to find something challenging enough to actually show off the amount of damage you can dish out with this character. But let's let's just kind of wander around here in these higher level areas and see what we can encounter. We'll try and find some random baddies to destroy. And so while we're looking for that, I can just sort of talk about how I've built the character. When you're selecting your feats, there's really not much you need to focus on. I think I've given her power attack, cleave, cleaving finish, I think sunder armor as well. Yeah, it was a bonus feat I picked up. And then we have improved sunder armor as well. So let's go ahead and take a break. So there's really not much min-maxing you need to do with this character concept. Just an Abyssal Bloodline Sorcerer with high strength and decent charisma. You just need enough charisma to be able to cast your higher level spells. And really, once you've cast your self buffs and summoned a few monsters, you have so much presence on the battlefield. It's really ridiculous. I haven't shown you what it's like to summon, you know, a dozen skeletal minions and then start summoning in the higher level monsters. With Summon Monster 7, you don't even need to personally engage in combat. But again, this build is just, it's really fun. And I know that there's characters that have a lot higher attack values. You know, a pure fighter with some good buffs on him can definitely hit more often or more reliably than a shape-changed sorcerer. But with our naturally high strength, we deal incredible amounts of damage when we hit. We have a vast number of attacks when we shape change into dragon form using the Dragonkind spell. We even get more attacks in Dragonkind 2 with our natural weapons than you would without it. So let's just do a little demonstration. Let's turn off AI so that my buddies don't rush into combat. And we have this huge list of self buffs over here. So let's turn on, should we turn on Sunder Armor? Let's definitely turn on Arcane Strike. I don't know why it turns itself off. It's kind of odd. It should always be on. And we'll leave, you know what, we'll turn off Power Attack. So what's our attack right now? Is it a base plus 21 when we're using this plus 4 dagger? That's odd. Shows us as not being able to use it for some reason. Anyway, false life. Just give ourselves some more HP. Enlarge person, target self. That one does take a full round to cast, so bear with me as we enlarge. Mirror image. Let's actually use improved invisibility instead of displacement. Ordinarily, there's no reason to waste the higher level spells choosing improved invisibility over displacement, except for the fact that you're going to hit a little more often. Oh, and also we can grow claws. I didn't mention that, but it's not all that helpful. Angelic Aspect gives us some damage reduction. Greater Heroism gives us a better chance to hit. You know what? We might as well transform into, let's do a Brass Dragon now, because we're going to be facing, and just look at how as the graphics lag out, look at how crazy this looks at this point. I really wouldn't mind installing a mod or having an options selection to turn off self-buff visuals. I don't need to see all of that mess on the screen with 8, illusory dragons next to me. But I can appreciate how overpowered it appears. Wings and wings. We have the wings feet twice. Okay, whatevs. Maybe that's because we're also a dragon. There's still a few bugs with this game. Have I mentioned that? Let's go on down the list. Sense Vitals. That's going to seriously increase our damage. And the last spell we want to cast on ourselves is Transformation, if we decide to cast it, because obviously we're not going to be able to cast spells anymore after we cast that one. But let's just go ahead and, for the lols, cast Vampiric Shadow Shield on ourselves as well. And is there any other self buff we can use? Not really. But let's go ahead and have our Paladin cast. Do I have it memorized? I might have gotten rid of it because nobody could use it. Level 2, yeah, he has it. Bestow Grace. So Bestow Grace adds the Charisma bonus to saving throws. Wow, he actually took damage from Vampiric Shadow Shield because he touched my character. That's kind of interesting. That's an exploit, I guess. You could use a touch spell on someone and they would take damage, but you would heal some hit points. So if you want to transfer hit points between party members, I didn't know about that. That's very intriguing. Anyway, I got distracted. So now my saves are not horrible. As you see, at level 15, I'd think that a 28 fort save, a 19 reflex, and a 25 will save is pretty good. It's pretty dang good. And that's for 14 minutes while Heroism lasts, 12 minutes while Bestow Grace lasts. So yeah, 12 minutes of ridiculous saving throws. I'll take it. Look at all the self buffs we have here. And of course we have Land Defenders, which is going to give us another... Actually, no, that's not going to stack with Heroism, because those are both a morale bonus. So never mind. These stats are what you can expect. I'm kind of surprised we only have a plus 23 to attack. I wonder why that's the case. Maybe because Arcane Strike doesn't affect natural weapons? It must be. So that's unfortunate. But we'll manage. We will manage. So, now that we're ridiculously... Oh, right, I forgot to cast Transformation. You know what? Before we transform... Yeah, let's just use Transformation. I was going to say we could cast a few summons before we transform, but let's go ahead and transform. So there's multiple ways to play this character, and even without buffing yourself into the stratosphere, you can deal some serious damage. But now we have a plus 31 to our attack, which is twice our level. It's quite good. And damage 20 to 30 on our bite attack, 19 to 26 on both of our claw attacks, and then we have 2 wing attacks, a tail and a slam, that don't show up here because they're only used to showing 2 weapons. But we get those, and our damage here does not factor in sneak attack damage, and because we're invisible, we are always sneak attacking. So, we've turned off the AI. These are actually immune or resistant to sneak attack, these Elder Fire Elementals, so keep that in mind. And they're missing. And here we go. Yeah, we're dealing seriously reduced damage against these enemies, but that is just fine. We're taking 0 damage from them because we're immune to fire. Or I think we have like a 20 resistance to fire. Are you gonna... Oh my gosh, it stops attacking after each round when you turn off the AI? That is retarded. So we're dealing, some serious... This is not the best example of the damage we can deal because they take reduced damage from us, as you can see. But being able to tank 2 Elder Fire Elementals, and so far we haven't lost any HP by virtue of Vampiric Shadow Shield and all of the self buffs we have. And I'm not exactly sure why we're glowing like the sun. I think that's because of transformation, but I think you get the idea. Let me just kind of screen cap this real quick. Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. It's so gorgeous. Look at that. Anyway, this has been a look at one of the most accidentally awesome builds I've ever made. And I know that you could probably make something stronger, and obviously with the amount of self buffs that you cast or that you choose to keep going, is some of these Actually, most of these last for like 13 minutes. So that's actually pretty good. That's actually like really, really good. We have 6 seconds left on our transformation, so that's one of those things that you'll have to keep refreshing. But in general, this is just an incredibly strong build. If you're going for the longer term, you can see we have around 15 minutes on our self buffs at this point, and our attack is still at a respectable plus 23. Our damage is incredible. And we can recast, on an individual basis those buffs we need. We're still able to summon creatures with our incredibly powerful summons, which are actually the key feature of this class, and we didn't even need to show those. So a strength and charisma build Abyssal Sorcerer with a focus on spells that provide self buffs. And the dragon shape is just an dragon kind spell is incredibly powerful, especially if you have a strength-based build, and summoned creatures there to back you up whenever you need them. Look at how many. So this is just a really cool feature of Pathfinder Kingmaker in general. You may notice something going on right now, and that's that there's no limit to the amount of creatures we can summon. Only the death of your PC. Look at this! Can you imagine if we had used this army of summons here in this battle? And with our incredible defensive abilities and defensive spells, even though we've put no focus on our armor class, we're not even wearing armor. Look at my beautiful army. Look at my gorgeous, incredible army that I can summon. And of course, a few of these skeletons are gonna die, but have I mentioned that they have a 7 damage reduction? It's pretty good. It's pretty dang good. Because again, if one of these can take 2 hits, you summon between 3 and 6... No, 3 and... Hold on, let me give you the right numbers. So a d4 plus 3. So it's between 4 and 7 each time you summon them, and it's a standard action, so you can do this once every round at the top of the round. That's pretty awesome. It's pretty dang awesome. Anyway guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, level 15 sorcerers are normally powerful, but just giving yourself that versatility. Look at this, 36 strength right now. A plus 13 to hit and damage, and 4, 5, 6 natural weapons with a natural 2 attacks with each per round, and then casting transformation, getting 3 attacks per round, having been hasted, getting 4 attacks per round. Yes, that's 24 attacks per round. Some of those are gonna miss, I know, but I think you get the picture. This is a beast, and in passive mode you can just cast some of your longer duration buffs like shield and angelic aspect and dragon form, and you can cast all of your spells while in dragon form. The only downside is you are a large creature at this point, so it could be difficult for you to squeeze through certain enclosed areas. And also it makes it more hazardous or more difficult for your teammates to get around you. But if you look at Dada, he can shrink himself a bit, which helps with positioning, and you can provide lots of flanking opportunities here as a large and small team combination. Now Butterfly, listen to Dada. You can't just go around killing everyone with your fire breath. Anyway guys, hope you enjoy the video. Bye-bye. Oh, before I go, one thing I forgot to mention is where I plan to take this character in the future. Pick up Knockdown eventually, because I might pick up, let's see what we end up getting. Unholy Aura, that's pretty good. And Summon Monster 9 at level 19. We may go for those. And I don't really need to get Demonic Might. I think I'm going to pick up 1 level of Scaled Fist, which is going to give me a whole lot more AC and a little bit better natural weapon attacks. So that's something I'm looking forward to. And Flurry of Blows also stacks with haste and creature multi-attack, so yeah, it should get pretty ridiculous here in a little bit. Anyway guys, I'll catch you later. Bye bye.